Without further ado, let's begin. Happy New Year. I know it's a little late in the new year, but this is our first green room of the new year. So I get an opportunity to say hello to all of you officially, formally, and happily. Being that this is right after Martin Luther King weekend, I'm thinking of vision. I'm thinking of the visionary Dr. Martin Luther King and wondering how many people find that when we celebrate him in January, it's as inspiring as I feel it is. One of the most famous visionaries of our time is celebrated in the very beginning of the year, the time when most people are setting New Year's resolutions and their hopes and dreams for the year and what they want to see come out of the year. And even more appropriate, being that this is the genesis of a decade. And even more important, because if you are any sort of follower of Asian culture, specifically Chinese culture, the number 2 is a very lucky number, very, very lucky number. So if you get married on February 2nd, 2020, you're going to be hitting the jackpot, buddy. Maybe play the lottery on that day. Anyway, I just can't help but wonder how many people made New Year resolutions already that have broken them. And I wonder still if it's just because we make resolutions incorrectly, or we don't think of it instead of the things that we should stop doing, but instead we don't think of the things that we should be starting to do. Creating a vision for the future that is more compelling than where we are today, and how much more we could actually accomplish if we handled New Year's resolutions in that way. So today's green room is 2020 Vision for 2020, a framework for vision and goal setting. And this is for personal and professional benefit. And so I want to start with this idea that was the seed that was planted in 1963. I'm happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. It is a very small excerpt of a very large, beautiful speech that was done on a very hot August day. But who could have foretold how many people would have shown up? And who could have foretold what had happened since? The first line of this speech declares a future that became a reality. And there's no way that that could have absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, been declared as absolute truth. Many historians say this represented a turning point in the civil rights movement and created the momentum for passing the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The speech itself compelled people to act and consider a new set of possibilities. These are speeches where vision's declared, but most of us know vision through the work of organizations, let's say, right? So maybe your company has a vision statement, or maybe there's a particular company that you like to buy things from because you like their vision, right? Just do it or whatever. But whatever it is, people want to come with you. So what if you created a vision for your future where you wanted to go to that future? What if you created a vision for your sales department that made you want to go to that? What if the vision that you created was that you were able to achieve X amount of sales? But that sounds great, I guess. But some people look at that and go, what's in it for me? Right? So there's something lacking in that. That's not entirely what vision is. And when you look at something like this, it truly inspires action. So today we're going to do a few different things. We're going to build capacity for vision. And again, this is not just for you professionally or personally, it's for both. So I want to be able to give you a 3-step process so that you could create vision for yourself for whatever that is. Is this the year that you plan to train for, to be a marathon runner? Not just train for a marathon, not just run a marathon, but to be a marathoner. There's a difference and there's a vision there. You're going to create a vision for your own year ahead. And I'm going to give you what's called a wheel of life as your goal setter for that, so that you can create some balance in your life. And some people really struggle with that. Some people struggle with, well, I'm doing great in my health, but not so great in work. So, how do you balance that? And also give you the right vision lens so that you're thriving at the speed of change and not just kind of plugging along and feeling like you're making the donuts or checking things off of the box. So, think back at a time when you decided to actually make a change. It could have been personal or organizational. What happened? What did you notice about that time? Or what do you think about when you think about that time? Um, Typically, what happens when you think about a time, an important time when you chose to make a change, um, there's a bridge to an idea of where you actually want to go. There's some sort of a connector. It's not just, well, I'm going to quit smoking. There's some bridge that occurs. Anytime you make a choice to move from where you are to something new, you're going to be using that vision to make that happen. So it's from one way of seeing, being, saying, doing to another way of seeing, being, saying, doing. And for those of you that manage and lead people, this is so critical, because how can you possibly lead people if you can't start with seeing, being, saying, and doing things differently, even just for yourself? So you have to be able to create the capacity to establish vision just within you, if you want to be able to be a leader of other people, or a leader of a thought, of an idea, a leader of a change. Sometimes it's even just leading a cause of keeping the office clean. You have to be able to have a vision for what that actually looks like. All right, so what is vision? What does that mean? Vision's a desirable, detailed, and compelling picture of the future that's going to inspire action for you. This is your North Star. This is what unifies your aspirations and guides choices and actions. So, years and years ago, when I worked at a hotel that um, was a four diamond hotel. So, by AAA standards, it was a four diamond hotel, and we were just kind of banging our heads against the wall and wondering, well, what's next? What's next? Our North Star at that time became to get our fourth star from mobile. That North Star really helped us to be able to decide where we were going to go, how we were going to evolve as a organization, how we were going to attract talent, creativity, strategy, and the kind of change that was required to make that happen, how we were going to engage possibility thinking. So, gone were the days of, oh, well, we'll never be more than a four diamond property because we don't have X. We can't do Y. There's no way that ever Z is going to change. We engaged in possibility thinking, and that was a more powerful motivator. So that visioning became something that everybody could do. And it became really inspiring. And it was just enough to shift people to acting purposefully with focus. Everyone could get engaged around that because it was somewhere we had never gone before. None of us ever thought that we were ever going to get our fourth star. We wanted it, but we just didn't think it was going to be possible. So there's sometimes this idea of little v vision, right? That's, hey, this is where I want to go now. And some of these are examples of little v vision. So it's all around us. It's we use little v vision sometimes, though, to move us from where we are to where we want to go. We'll tell stories about the future every single day. Like, this is going to be the worst day ever because I have to work with Tanya. I'll never learn to run a marathon because I have a hard time breathing in cold weather. It's a story that you've written about the future. It hasn't even arrived. And those kinds of declarations can actually shape your actions, thoughts, and state of mind today, what you choose to do right now, and right now, and right now. But by virtue of you even showing up today, what you're saying is that doesn't have to be true anymore. And I think that's pretty inspiring. Even these are examples of little v vision. It's 2020. I just completed the Marine Corps Marathon. I'm confident, alive, and most of all, well. It's the end of the third quarter. We've exceeded our targets and are on track for a record year. That's how you know you've realized certain visions, right? But then there's the big stuff. Big vision. It's I'm a yogi. What? You can't be a yogi. What's wrong with you? We are the premier luxury vacation home destination management company in the Rocky Mountains or in the world that offers a catered chalet experience. Wait, whoa, what? No, 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 we could never be that. Why not? So then you have to stop for a second and actually think about that and say, okay, what does it take to get to that big V vision? There are three key steps that have to occur. And usually, when we do this and we walk through an entire organization through our day long event of thriving at the speed of change, this is how we do it. Step one, honor the past and uncouple you from what's holding you back. And all of your worksheets are going to help you to kind of walk through that. And this can be really powerful, it can be painful. You have to kind of set some things down and say goodbye to some things and own some things and be honest with some things. This is you trying to create your founding story, right? From the very beginning. It could be the culmination of certain experiences and milestones and values, beliefs. This is the idea of understanding and acknowledging the past, building on the strengths of the past and letting go of what doesn't serve you. And then step two, interrogating reality, telling the truth, being honest about the good, bad, beautiful, and ordinary that currently exists in your reality. Present looms large in our reality, and yet we don't often slow down enough to really think about how it shapes thoughts about the future and if the way we understand the present really serves us. And then step three is the future story that we tell ourselves in the present about what's going to happen. So this is where things can get a little uncomfortable for some people, right? Because it feels so abstract or unattainable or that's impossible. No, that cannot happen for me. But with a deeper understanding of the past and a really clear-eyed understanding of the present, you can imagine a possible future. You can imagine the future, your future. So, what could your future actually be? I am going to own my own business. I am going to be the next vice president of this company. I am going to, what's the word? I am going to, oh my goodness, I'm going to be a professional skier, professional ski racer. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be in the next Olympics. So, it's a granular, optimistic, detailed picture of the future that takes into account the past and the present. So you might start with one idea, just like Dr. Martin Luther King did, but then when it gets detailed out in such granular clarity that you can almost feel it, then you have big vision. So what we usually say is you start with a stack of stickies. One idea per note that describes your current reality. You write as fast as you can. And this is for your present situation. There's some workshopping that I'm going to give you in your worksheets that's going to help you to also honor your past so that then you can get to this and sort of own it wherever you are now. And then eventually you can get to this, a great model, which is called the SOAR model. This is great as an organization. This is a way that a lot of organizations that we work with will walk them through how they can identify strengths, opportunities, aspirations, results, so that they can really identify what they're good at, what they're not so good at, what threats they see, what needs and wants there are. But you can do this for yourself personally as well. And you can also do this for aspirations and results. What do you want to achieve? What are the measurable results? Another way of looking at this that you might have heard of is SMART goals, which I'll show you in just a second too. This finally gets you enough, and you can do this with a stack of stickies as well, to start doing some of that possibility thinking. So in possibility thinking, you can think about actions that you've taken, considering all that you end up kind of distilling it down to in detail. Who are you? What's true about you or your organization? How might you thrive as an organization or personally? And then you can free write for 10 minutes. It's a possibility thinking exercise. This is totally possible. And then what this becomes is sort of your future when you say it's 2021, January 2021. 2020 was a great year, and here's what happened. You write it now, a year in the, yeah, you write it now for a year in the future. And once you get there, you'll be absolutely blown away. I did this once. I did this 14 years ago. And I wrote everything, strengths, opportunities. I did aspirations and results, down to the color of the walls in my house. And sure enough, one day I looked up and the walls in my house were yellow, as I had the son that I had dreamed of in my arms and the puppy of my dreams sitting on the floor right next to me, and the kitchen renovation that I had hoped for, that I wanted, that I pictured in great detail happening in the other room. And I had gotten married just 3 months prior to that. So all of this happened in the matter of 1 year. And it was because I did this. So it works. So how do you know if you've done it properly? You have to check and see, well, does your vision inspire you? Does it energize and compel action? Does it convey detail? And can I picture it? So then things start to become a little cloudy. So people usually here say, okay, well, that's all sounds great. So Erica, how do I do it? And so there are a few different things that I want to show you here. And these are the things that I do and the things that I use. First of all, this is my 2020 vision for the year. This is my wheel of life that I'm going to show you. And one of the things that you're going to get today are some awesome worksheets that are going to show you, first of all, what exam vision could look like. Also, the opportunity for you to vision out where and who you have been. For those of you that are part of the same organization, this is a great exercise for you all to do together. I'm also going to share with you some step 2, which is the present. What's true now? What's the present reality? So you could do this on your stack of stickies. And step 3, where are you going and how are you going to get there? So you can free write your vision. And then by the end, what you're going to have here is, when I look back on 2020, it's been a great year. So you're going to free write that in advance. And so then you'll be able to take a look at your vision checklist and say, oh my gosh, I did it. Now, guess what? Are you going to fail? Yes. Are you going to accomplish everything? Maybe not. But you know what? Even if you accomplish half of what you set out to do, aren't you far more successful than doing nothing at all? And that's the way I always feel about it. So let me give you some of the concrete things that I actually use to do this as well. So that's for vision, right? because this is something that you can do. So right now, you might be already thinking of a couple of things that you're going, all right, well, this is what I want. I'm calling my shot. Calling my shot for this year. So if you have even just a fuzzy maybe idea of what your vision is for the year or your vision is for the decade, write it down, or at least it doesn't have to be a clearly written version. It's I am a mom. It is I am a surfer. It is I am a um I am a professional speaker that travels the world and inspires. I don't know, whatever. I'm a roller derby queen. Put what you want. Write down 3 actions that you could take to start realizing your vision today. Just 3. And again, this doesn't have to be clearly done right now. And by the way, feel free to text chat me at any point or get off of mute to ask me some questions because I'm hitting you with a lot at one time here, and I get that. This is for you to engage and ask some questions here. Write down 3 things you could take to start realizing your vision. Those are going to end up getting put into something pretty important here. And this is the wheel of life. What is this wheel of life Erica keeps talking about? So this is a great tool that I've been using for a long time because I get overwhelmed. And I'm sure a lot of you do as well, because I don't just want to focus on losing weight. I mean, that's not the vision I have. The vision is that I am an example of health for my children, and I am old enough. This is my someday goal, right? My someday vision is that I am old enough to help raise my great-great-grandchildren. That's my someday goal. Well, where does that go? I don't even know. Well, I put that here in my wheel of life. And there are a couple of different ways that I attack that. So you can see here that there are a lot of different things. And this is even a little more granular, let's say, on the worksheet that I give you. But there are a lot of different areas, right? Family, which is what I referred to just now, maybe, or health, right? Physical and mental. Their hobbies, passions, business, career, spiritual, and social. So first of all, rate yourself, 1 being the worst in the center to 10, and just kind of eyeball it, whatever radius you choose. So here's an example of mine, okay? So there's one line where I've rated myself where I am today, and then I've put another line of where I want to be. And then what I can see is how out of balance I am. I'm sure it's no surprise to many of you that I call myself a good old 5 in hobby and other interests because I'm a workaholic. Yes, I am. So I'm working on that. I really am, I promise. So that's what this showed me, is that I have a long way to go. And for me to go, well, I want to go from a 5 to a 10, all the way in the outer circle. That's impossible. But what this does is if I can break it up into pie pieces, think as a wheel. If this wheel was turning, would it go kunk, 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 kunk? Would it actually roll? Because if not, then I'm not balanced, right? I rated myself, I don't know, an 8 or a 9 in career or business. So if I'm a 5 in hobbies and I'm an 8 or a 9 in career or business, I need to maybe focus a little bit more on my personal life. Erica needs to get a life. Yes, it's true. So I'm going to work on that this year. And so that's part of my vision. That is absolutely part of my vision for the year. All right, so where is my wheel balanced? Where isn't it? And how could my vision and goals actually alter my wheel? So what then you get here is you're going to get this worksheet, and it's going to show you a couple of different things here. It's going to show you how to actually write a SMART goal, if you've never heard of the acronym SMART. And it's going to give you the feelings here. So this is the idea of the feelings that you want to have when you know you've achieved this goal. So let's say your financial goal is that I want to save, um, put, I want to pay myself first and put $10,000 into a vacation savings fund for a vacation to New Zealand in January of 2021. And my feelings there is that I'm going to feel more in control of my financial situation. I'm going to feel more free, right? I'll feel more free because I have some money to actually use. And then if something happens and I can't go on vacation, I at least have some padding there as well. Um, I'm also going to feel more proactive instead of reactive. Maybe my someday goal there financially is to um, always have enough money to travel to one amazing place a year. Cool. Okay. So that's how this ends up. You can have a feeling and then also a someday goal there as well, which is what I do. I always put a someday goal. All right. So you'll be getting this as well today, which is a great little worksheet. And hopefully this helps you. So I always play with the wheel of life at the beginning of every year. I spend a few weeks on this. This isn't like I lock myself up in a room. I really think about it. Um, so piece of advice, where do I start? Every day I make my bed. This really sounds dumb, doesn't it? But there's a sense of discipline, of organization, of accomplishment, of self-respect that comes from starting by making my bed every day. And believe it or not, just having some small thing that you discipline yourself to do every day is enough to start creating the mindset that you need to create vision. I promise you. Step 2 is to get into rechoosing your vision and revisioning your vision. It's not going to be static. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to change. But you mark your calendar one time every month to keep looking at it again and again and again. And name the fears. And don't be alone in that either. It's really easy to hide when you're trying to reach a goal and you're not talking about it with other people. And that's why if you have the president of the company that's not sharing the financial goals of the organization, how are you ever going to achieve those goals? So I did a Tough Mudder years ago, and I was standing on top of that ridiculously high platform. And there was a Marine up there that was yelling at me to get off of his platform. And I actually paid money to do this. Can you believe it? It's true. I paid money. You are welcome, Sarah. But yes, I paid money to be part of this Tough Mudder experience and stand there and get yelled at by a Marine. And this was where I got stopped dead in my tracks. Every other obstacle, I did just fine. This one, couldn't do it. And my two friends, Sarah and Joyce, had already jumped and they were in that disgusting water down there. And I stood there at the top, and that was a pretty big name my fears kind of a moment, which was that I had to name, it wasn't the fear of heights, it was the fear of the unknown. And the unknown was that water is so muddy. I don't know what's in there. Is there a snake in there? Is there a Loch Ness monster? What's going on in there? So I was really uncomfortable. And in that very moment, I saw my two friends in the unknown looking at me with these eyes of, you can absolutely do this. And it was an awesome moment for me because by looking at them and seeing that they had done it and they saw the possibility in me, it was just enough for me to know that I can do this. I can, and I trust. I trust that others want the best for me because I want the best for others. So when you have that clarity of vision of the future that you can rely on others to hold you accountable to, you can take action in fundamentally different ways in the present. So I bring all this to you in hopes that at some point in your life, you're going to know that you have what it takes. It is possible. and all those yeah buts that make a pretty great butt sandwich that gets in the way of you doing the things that you want to do in January, you don't have to do that. You don't have to make that sandwich every year. Think about the things that you can do when your tank is empty and focus on your mind, your body, your emotions, and your spirit. This is where your fuel comes to be of service to others, to generate absolutely amazing hospitality for people. This is where you create your capacity and your resilience to be of service. So I leave you with a parting thought, which is that this is a great quote. When I was a young man, I wanted to change the world. I found it was difficult to change the world, so I tried to change my nation. When I found I couldn't change the nation, I began to focus on my town. I couldn't change the town, and as an older man, I tried to change my family. Now, as an old man, I realize the only thing I can change is myself. And suddenly I realize that if long ago I had changed myself, I could have made an impact on my family. My family and I could have made an impact on our town. Their impact could have changed the nation, and I indeed could have changed the world. You can change the world. It just requires a little bit of time and thinking of your vision. So if you would like to consider an intensive event like this for your group, give me a call. Spread the word. This is something that Darcy and I love to do. We also have a ton of resources available to you. So if you like to deep dive into some reading, do it. And you always know to give me a call, I hope. I am always just a few buttons away. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. Happy New Year to all of you. And I wish you nothing but the best in 2020. Thanks for being here today.